Hello! In this little video I'm going to show you how I got my Traxxas Slash two-wheel drive set up for autonomous control, or in this case just control using an Arduino, which is a little tricky if you aren't aware where things are, but it's pretty simple. So here first, quick overview of the car. This is just with its shell off. To take that off you just pull out the little pins, pretty simple. You can see I'm using a LiPo in mine, so that's here. Power cable for that is here. This is the ESC, or electronic speed control, that controls power to the motors. We got a little servo up here. We won't be touching that today. I'll just be dealing with the ESC right now. Then down here is our RC unit, and this is what the controller normally communicates with. So when you pull down the trigger for both servo and ESC. So one of these wires down here is going to be the servo, one's going to be the ESC. So that's going to be what we're working with today. So first, I would recommend propping this up on something because the wheels will be spinning and you don't want it launching off your little lab space. Just prop that up there. And then what you're going to want to work on to control the ESC is to head down to the receiver unit and look at these two wires. So you're going to see two wires. It's a little hard to see on video here. There's one on top, one on bottom. Now the one on top should be servo. It may be different for you. What you're going to want to do is take both of those out. Just kind of wiggle them. Come on. There we go. Alright, so now that they're both out, you'll see that there's kind of they're routed in two separate ways. The one that's routed higher up, that's going to be from the servo. So we're not going to be touching this today, and these instructions won't fully apply to this. But here is the ESC. This is what we're looking for. So you can see it's kind of tunneled here. You can follow the wire actually, and it'll come here, which comes out of the ESC up there in the corner. Alright, so now that you have this unattached from the receiver, you'll note that there's 3 pins. White, which is your PWM control, red, which on the ESC will deliver power to the receiver, and black, which is just your ground. So normally what this would do is connect to your receiver, and that would power the receiver. But we're not powering the receiver, we want to just control the ESC. So what's unique about the ESC is that it's self-powered, because it's powered from the battery. Therefore, the red wire on this doesn't take power, it gives power. So what you're going to want to do then is simply connect wires to the white PWM control and connect ground, of course. So down here, I've got a little Raspberry Pi Pico on my breadboard. Any microcontroller will do, simply the one I was using. Arduino will also work for this task. And then what I'm going to do here is quickly wire up a PWM pin to that white cable, just with a jumper there. Oh, easier said than done. And then make sure you track your ground. So this one's ground. Put your ground in ground. Put your PWM control on the white line. Make sure it's not the red one, or else your controller is going to be in for a bit of a surprise. Make sure the stick, I think that's in there. Should be in there. Cool, it's in there. All right. So now you'll see I have those two wires on the PWM pin I configured, and this one. This can be any pin, depends on your board. And up here, connect it here. So now to get it to actually control it, I've programmed a little something over here. I've already flashed it. That's kind of a separate process, but once you have this configured to output a 50 Hertz PWM signal, or PPM signal technically, over this, it can control that. So how this ESC works is if you have a pulse modulated signal of 1 millisecond, that's considered maximum reverse, 1.5 is neutral, and 2 is full forward. And so you just send those with a 20 millisecond widths, or 50 Hertz. That's how you control it. So for example here, I'll turn on the ESC. So see, that's blinking. That means it's searching for the controller, but of course there's no controller. We are the controller. So then let me give power to my board real quick. What it's going to do is send first to arm it. It's going to send a maximum reverse signal for 2 cycles, then a maximum forward signal for 2 cycles, and then a neutral signal for half a second. And that'll turn the ESC on. You'll see the blinking light up here will turn solid. And then we simply send it some forward signals, and then a reverse signal. It's something that's a bit unique on this controller. I don't know if it's a common thing on RC cars, but at least for this controller, to send it into reverse, you need to send it one cycle of any reverse signal, and then a neutral signal for 3 cycles, and then another reverse signal, and that'll put into reverse. I think if you only do reverse once, that's like the lockout break, because of course you don't want to go full reverse, it'll tear up your transmission. Alright, so that all that said, I've already flashed it like I mentioned, so when I turn on, it's going to do those in sequence. So I'll do it now. There you go, full forward, and then reverse, and it's just going to loop through these. So you note in this process, there's no light up here on the ESC, except for when it's in neutral for that like brief second when it's transitioning through the lockout. I'll turn that off there. And yeah, that should be kind of the basics of this. In a future video, I'll look at the servo, because it should be essentially the same code in terms of like width and that kind of stuff. But you will have to do a little more to power it, but it's the same concepts. All right, that's it. See ya.